Welcome to our channel History of Coins, where we explore the hidden gems of numismatics. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of rare wheat pennies. These classic coins hold an incredible history, and some are worth millions. So today, we are gonna uncover the rarest varieties, their values. So make sure to watch the complete video and find out if you have one of these. Now let's continue our today's video. Top 1 today, we're taking a close look at one of the most legendary coins in American history, the 1944 wheat penny. And believe me, this little copper coin could be worth a whole lot more than you'd expect. Now before you go digging through your change jar, listen carefully, because the story behind the 1944 wheat penny is as fascinating as the coin itself. Let's start with a little background. In 1944, the world was in the midst of World War II. America had joined the fight, and the U.S. Mint was making some major changes to coin production to support the war effort. Just 1 year earlier, in 1943, the Mint had temporarily stopped using copper for pennies and instead made them out of steel coated in zinc. Why? Because copper was in high demand for ammunition and military equipment. But in 1944, the Mint made a return to copper. They began using recycled shell casings from the battlefields to produce pennies once again, turning literal war remnants into coins that would go into circulation across the nation. That's already pretty amazing if you think about it. But that's not where the story ends. Here's where things get really interesting. Most 1944 pennies were made from that recycled copper, giving them a distinct reddish-brown look. However, due to a few mysterious minting errors and rare production mishaps, a small number of 1944 wheat pennies were struck on leftover steel planchets from the year before. These rare error coins are like ghosts from the past. They shouldn't exist, but they do. And they're the reason collectors around the world are constantly on the hunt for a genuine 1944 steel wheat penny. These steel variants are considered some of the rarest pennies in the world, and only a handful have ever been found. But even if your 1944 wheat penny isn't made of steel, don't write it off just yet. There are still other minting errors and rare details that can dramatically increase its value. Some of these include double die obverse, where the lettering or Lincoln's profile appears slightly doubled, caused by a misalignment during the striking process. Others might show off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or even unusual die cracks. These small imperfections might seem like flaws, but to collectors, they are golden opportunities, literally. Now let's talk about why this particular penny has become such a hot item among coin lovers. For many collectors, the 1944 wheat penny represents more than just a rare coin. It's a piece of American history. It tells the story of a nation at war, a time of sacrifice, and the resourcefulness of turning bullets into pocket change. It's a symbol of resilience and legacy, all packed into a coin you could easily overlook at first glance. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone curious about what might be hiding in your old coin stash, the 1944 wheat penny is a coin you definitely want to keep an eye out for. Check those old jars, look through inherited coin collections, or take a second glance at what's hiding in your drawer. You never know what treasures you might uncover. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for. How much can one of these pennies really be worth? If you're lucky enough to find a genuine 1944 wheat penny made from steel, in pristine condition, authenticated by a reputable grading service, it could be worth as much as $80,000. Yes, you heard that right. $80,000 for a penny that most people wouldn't think twice about. The next time you see a dusty old penny lying around, think twice before tossing it aside. It just might be the most valuable 1-cent piece you'll ever find. Top 2, we're talking about the 1945 wheat penny, a coin that could be sitting unnoticed in your collection or even hiding in your pocket change, and could turn out to be worth a jaw-dropping amount of money. Grab your coin stash. Turn up the volume, and let's uncover the incredible story of this copper classic. Now, let's rewind to the year 1945. The world had just witnessed the end of World War II. America stood tall as one of the victors, and the country was beginning to rebuild and redefine itself. But in the middle of this historical turning point, the United States Mint was quietly producing millions of small copper coins, stamped with the image of President Abraham Lincoln on the front and 2 humble wheat stalks on the back. These pennies might have looked ordinary, but they were born during an extraordinary time. The 1945 wheat penny is one of the final wartime era cents made with copper. Just a couple of years earlier, The U.S. Mint had experimented with using steel instead of copper to save precious metals for the war effort. But by 1945, copper was back in use, and yet, not every penny from that year was created equally. Here's where things start to get fascinating. While most 1945 pennies were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco using standard copper planchets, a small number of coins left the mint with rare and unusual features. And for collectors, these little details are where the real excitement begins. Some 1945 wheat pennies show doubling in the lettering or in Lincoln's profile, a minting error known as a double die. This type of error is extremely valuable because it's visible to the naked eye, and it's proof that something went wrong during the striking process. In the world of coin collecting, errors like these aren't flaws, they're rare treasures. Other valuable variations include off-center strikes, where the design is visibly misaligned, repunched mint marks, where the small letter indicating the mint location was stamped more than once, and even lamination errors, where the surface of the coin appears to be peeling or cracked due to impurities in the metal. These small imperfections can turn a common coin into an extraordinary one. And then, of course, there's the matter of condition. Collectors prize coins in what's called mint state, that is, coins that look as fresh and sharp as the day they were made. A 1945 wheat penny that has never been in circulation, never passed from hand to hand, and still shows every crisp detail of Lincoln's face and the wheat design on the reverse. That's a serious collector's item. But even if your 1945 penny has a little wear, don't toss it aside. The value of a coin is not just about how shiny it looks, it's about its story, its rarity, and the demand from those who love coins with a passion. And let's not forget, this coin isn't just valuable for collectors. It represents a moment in time, a piece of American resilience, a link to the past that you can hold in your hand. Think about it. This tiny coin could have been in the pocket of a soldier returning home, or a factory worker helping rebuild the country. That's not just currency, that's living history. Now, I know what you're waiting for. You're probably wondering, how much can this little copper coin actually be worth? Well, get ready to be amazed. Because if you happen to come across a rare 1945 wheat penny with a minting error, in exceptional condition, certified by experts and sought after by collectors, it could be worth as much as $77,000. Yes, you heard that right. $77,000. For a 1-cent coin. So, before you overlook that old penny in your drawer, take a closer look. It might just be your ticket to an unbelievable payday. Top 3, we're talking about the 1949 wheat penny. Yes, the post-war Lincoln cent that looks like your average penny. But don't be fooled. This coin hides a history and a few surprises that could turn it into a real collector's dream. Now let's rewind to 1949. America was bouncing back from World War II. Soldiers had returned home, industries were booming, and the country was entering a new era of growth and opportunity. The U.S. Mint was also back to business as usual, striking coins to meet the demands of a growing economy. That year, the Lincoln wheat penny was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, with no mint mark; Denver, marked with a small D; and San Francisco with an S. Millions of these coins were produced, which might make you think they're all common. But here's the thing, not every 1949 penny is equal. And some of them are anything but ordinary. So what makes certain 1949 wheat pennies so special? It all comes down to rarity, condition, and minting errors. Let's break it down. First up, the errors. Yes, those tiny mistakes made during production that collectors go absolutely wild for. Some 1949 wheat pennies were struck with what's known as a double die error. This means parts of the design, like the date, the word Liberty, or even Lincoln's eye, appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. To the average person, it looks like a tiny blur. But to a collector, it's a sign of something rare. There are also pennies from that year with off-center strikes, where the design is visibly shifted to one side. These are dramatic and eye-catching and highly collectible. Another rare variation includes repunched mint marks, where the D, or S, was stamped more than once, creating a shadow effect. And then there are lamination errors, die cracks, and clipped planchets, each one making a coin more unique and far more valuable. But it's not just errors that matter. The condition of the coin is everything. A 1949 wheat penny that has been kept in perfect shape, showing no wear, no scratches, and no discoloration, is called a mint state coin. These coins are graded on a scale, and those at the top, especially ones graded MS65 and above, are where the real money is. Imagine this: 2 1949 pennies side by side. One is beat up, worn down, and barely readable. It's worth maybe a few cents. The other is crisp, clean, and glowing like it just rolled off the press yesterday. That one? That's the star of the show. That's the one collectors will pay thousands for. Because rarity isn't just about how many were made, it's about how many survived in top condition, and let's not forget the historical appeal. The wheat design on the reverse of the coin is a nod to American agriculture and hard work, a design that ended just a few years later in 1958. So each wheat penny from the 40s holds a piece of the past, a reminder of a time when America was rebuilding itself and moving forward. So now the big question: what could a 1949 wheat penny actually be worth? Well, most of them, in average circulated condition, aren't going to make you rich. But if you happen to have one with a rare error, and it's in near-perfect condition, authenticated and graded by a reputable service, then you might just be holding something far more valuable than you imagined. Because one of these rare 1949 wheat pennies has been valued at an incredible $73,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $73,000 for a single penny. So before you toss that old coin aside, take a closer look. Check the date, look for a mint mark, and really inspect the details. You never know when a 1-cent coin could change your life. Top 4, we're talking about the United States of America 1950 wheat penny. It's small, it's copper, and most people would overlook it without a second thought. But that would be a big mistake. Because this 1-cent coin could be worth thousands, yes, thousands of dollars, depending on what you're holding in your hand. So stay with me, listen carefully, and by the end of this video, you might be rushing to check your coin jar. Let's set the stage. The year is 1950. World War II is in the rearview mirror. The baby boom is in full swing, and America is rapidly evolving into the modern era. But even in this time of big change, one thing remained consistent: the humble Lincoln wheat penny was still being minted, just like it had been since 1909. The 1950 wheat penny was produced in 3 U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, with a D, mint mark; and San Francisco, with an S. Together, the mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins. So on the surface, it might seem like they're all over the place and not worth much. But here's where the story gets interesting. Even though millions were made, only a tiny number have survived in exceptional, untouched condition, and an even smaller number have something special: errors. Those rare flaws and quirks that make coin collectors go wild. Let's talk about some of the rarest and most valuable versions of the 1950 wheat penny. First up, we have the famous double die error. This happens when the coin is struck twice slightly out of alignment, creating a visible doubling effect, especially in the lettering, numbers, or even on Lincoln's face. It's not just a minor mistake, it's a collector's dream. These errors are highly sought after, and if your 1950 penny has one of these, it's instantly in a different class of value. Next, there are off-center strikes. These are coins that were not perfectly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to appear shifted or incomplete. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more valuable the coin. There are also repunched mint marks, where the D or S was stamped more than once, leaving a visible shadow or doubling effect under magnification. Other errors to watch out for include die cracks, clips, lamination flaws, and even struck-through errors, where foreign material got between the die and planchet during striking. These are rare, but they exist, and when they show up on a 1950 wheat penny, the value skyrockets. But errors aren't the only thing that matters. Condition is everything. Most wheat pennies out there have been in circulation, passed through countless hands, and suffered all kinds of wear and tear. But a small number were never used, kept in drawers, rolls, or special collections. These are known as mint state coins, and they can look nearly flawless, even after all these decades. A 1950 wheat penny graded MS-65 or higher by a professional grading service is incredibly valuable on its own. Combine that with a rare minting error, and you've got something truly special, something collectors will pay top dollar for. And that's not just because of rarity. It's also about nostalgia and history. These coins represent a time in America that feels simpler and more connected to its roots. The wheat stalks on the back of the coin? They're a symbol of growth, hard work, and American agriculture, a design that ended in 1958, making every wheat penny a piece of history. So now, here's the big question. What could one of these small copper coins, minted back in 1950, actually be worth today? If you happen to have a 1950 wheat penny with a rare minting error, in pristine, uncirculated condition, and graded by experts, then you might be holding a coin worth as much as $70,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $70,000. For a single penny. So don't ignore those old coins. Take a good look. Check for errors, inspect the condition, and don't be afraid to get a professional opinion. That one little copper coin could be the hidden treasure you never knew you had. Top 5, we're talking about the 1953 wheat penny from the United States of America. And believe me, this humble-looking coin could be worth way more than you think. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might find yourself digging through your change with a brand new perspective. Let's take a trip back to the year 1953. It was the post-war boom era. Dwight D. Eisenhower had just become president, the Korean War was coming to an end, and across the United States, a new generation of Americans was stepping into a time of peace and prosperity. In the middle of all this, the U.S. Mint quietly continued producing the iconic Lincoln wheat penny, something that had become a familiar part of everyday life since 1909. In 1953. The Lincoln wheat penny was struck at 3 mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, with a D; and San Francisco, with an S. These coins were made mostly of copper with a bit of zinc and tin, and millions were released into circulation. Now here's the twist. Just because millions were made, doesn't mean they're all common. You see, most of these pennies were used in daily transactions, worn down over years, and lost their value to collectors. But some survived in almost perfect condition, and a few rare ones have something special, errors that make them truly stand out. And that's where things get very interesting and very valuable. Let's talk about what to look for. One of the most desirable types of errors is the double die. This happens when the coin is struck twice slightly out of alignment, causing the design elements, like the date, lettering, or even Lincoln's profile, to appear doubled. These errors are usually visible without a microscope, especially on the words "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date 1953. If you have one of these, you're holding a rare piece. Another exciting error to look out for is the repunched mint mark, often seen on the Denver or San Francisco coins. This happens when the mint mark was punched more than once in slightly different positions. The result? A visible shadow behind the letter that tells collectors it's no ordinary penny. Then there are off-center strikes, die cracks, and even clip planchets, where a piece of the coin is literally missing from the edge because of a mistake during the minting process. These kinds of flaws are not damage. They're rare production mistakes that turn a basic coin into a collectible powerhouse. But let's not forget about condition. In the world of coins, condition is king. A 1953 wheat penny that has never been used in circulation, what's known as mint state, or uncirculated, can be worth significantly more than the same coin that's been scratched and worn down. Collectors are always chasing coins that look like they were just made yesterday, even if they're over 70 years old. And what makes the 1953 wheat penny especially appealing to collectors is the fact that it represents the end of an era. Just 5 years later, the wheat reverse design would be retired forever and replaced with the Lincoln Memorial. So every wheat penny, especially from the early 1950s, holds a bit of nostalgia, a piece of classic Americana in the palm of your hand. Now, you might be thinking, all right, all of this sounds great, but how much is this coin really worth? Well, that's the moment you've been waiting for. If you happen to find a 1953 wheat penny with a rare minting error, preserved in pristine, mint state condition, and especially if it's been certified and graded by a reputable authority, then that tiny 1-cent coin could be worth as much as $67,000. Yes, you heard that right. $67,000. For a single copper penny. So before you walk past that old coin jar or ignore those pennies in your pocket, take a closer look. That small, forgotten coin might just be a secret treasure waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about the hidden value of coins, old currency, and collectible treasures, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel and tap the bell so you never miss a new discovery. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting.